Do you guys know what this means right here? This means that the very micro electro part of you produced gold at your creation. And if you don't know already, all metals and stones then transmuted themselves from the heavens, from the stars, from the planets. You see? So we already know that these metals conduct electricity. And we know that you have these metals flowing in your body too. So these metals are conducting light. Now let's see why they speak of light in the Bible. And let's see why all the nations' names were ites, like Hamites, Israelites, Cushites. Let's find out why their names were ites. Now, before we go on decoding Jesus, I'm going to let you guys know, first of all, they represented Jesus and God by the light, which most religions do represent the light one way or another because it's a representation of the light of the Spirit, okay? But I want you guys to know in 1950s, a commercial respelling of light was done. Now we know in 1948, they gave the Jewish man Israel, which that same Jewish man claims to be the real Israelites. Okay? Now, like I said, in 1948 is when they gave him the land. Why 2 years later there's a commercial respelling of the word? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the spelling L-I-T-E is in the Bible when you talk about Israelites or Hamites or any ites there was. The spelling I-T-E was there. So what they're trying to do is make it where you're not connecting the spelling L-I-G-H-T with the spelling of L-I-T-E. Therefore, you wouldn't know that they were saying the light of man was really the real basic light that you use every day to see. You see? So the way that they found themselves trying to hide the light of man, since this spelling L-I-T-E was in the Bible, they figured they would just change the word that we use every day. They would just change the spelling of that word to L-I-G-H-T. You see? Therefore, whenever we see the word L-I-T-E, we would think that goes to something else that doesn't have nothing to do with that light, right? So the Israelites and the Hamites and any ites that was in the Bible was given the name ites for lights, okay? And they don't want you to know it's that simple because they don't want you to connect the heavenly lights that you see above within you. They don't want you to see that, okay? So he named the nations lights. They don't want us to know that we're just all different kind of lights, like the stars in heavens, like the diamonds in the ground. You get it? Do you guys know what this means right here? This means that the very micro electro part of you produced gold at your creation for it to conduct its own electricity. And that's the Spirit coming through his own light into this atmosphere. Now, I'm fit to talk about Jesus and gold. What do Jesus got to do with gold? Well, first and foremost, gold comes from the star that sits up in the heaven that God placed up in the heaven as lights to shine upon the earth, right? So the word gold have the word God and the letter L in it representing the word life. So God and life, or God and light, is what gold actually says. And that's exactly what the light give us. It give us the spirit and the life, the light. So gold mean God's light. God's light. Okay? This is no coincidence, y'all. Gold actually channels the electricity from the sun. And it channels it better than any other metal or copper. This is no coincidence. God's light, right? Is not the sun God's light? Whose light do y'all think that is? That's the light of the Spirit. Period. Now, whether or not Jesus is real, It doesn't matter. What Jesus represent is real. What that symbol, that character represent is actually something that is real. So we're talking about real power here, which is that's what Jesus is a symbol for, a power source, like the sun. You see? And the sun is just a star of many other stars, but that's the star that have to do with giving life to us on this planet in this star system. So Jesus represents the spirit that all man possess right now that's in this star system. And that spirit is power. It's energy. And energy don't die, it splits. Now you know, like I know, that light is energy. And energy splits. And we both know in the Bible it said Jesus was the light, was the sun, which is the actual sun is where we get our energy from, our electricity, our light. You see? And the gold that comes from the sun channels the energy of the sun better than anything else does, any other metallics or copper. So if you know anything about energy, you would know that it doesn't die. It actually splits and multiplies itself. And that's why the symbolism and metaphor of the name and word Jesus actually means he's us. Because the energy split, which grafted the energy and shared it amongst all of us. So if we take one energy, split it into 10, then that means we can give power for 10 different lives. And that's what this represents. And that's actually what you're doing when you have kids and when you have babies and you have generations of family. That's what's happening. The energy is splitting. We are energy, so we are splitting. And this is why I say the only way to get to God is through his only begotten son, which is through your own spirit, going inward, getting in touch with your sun ray. Because each one of us have a ray. Each one of us have our own light. God's so-called only begotten son was the spirit that all men share. And they symbolized and represented and metaphored it off as the name and character Jesus. But all it truly represents is one energy splitting into many to give life to all. That's all it represents. A power source. That's it. Now, with that being said, they call Jesus the elect. So what is elect? Electricity. Not just him that was chosen, but it also means that the spirit is the elect, meaning all of our spirits, our cornerstone, our capstone. That is the elect. So the spirit is the chosen one, the elect. Like I said, the cornerstone is the spirit that holds up and make the whole foundation work as one. The God's light, that's the same light you have in you. And this is what this whole thing is all about, which in the Bible is represented as Jesus, but it's really symbolic for your own personal spirit. So we're talking about actual electricity, gold electricity, spirit energy, actual energy like the sunlight that come through. And that is the cornerstone, the capstone, the spirit, the gold, the stone that the builders rejected, the comforter and the provider, the one energy that's shared with everybody, the light, God's elect, electricity. And this is why they symbolize the Jesus as the light, you know? So don't get lost in all of the makeup. Just understand what these points mean. So get in your science and understand true electricity and understand the light that's in you, okay? Remember, we're talking about energy. We're talking about spirit energy. So when they say God's elect, they call Jesus God's elect, right? Which the tribe of Israel was God's elect, but Jesus was supposed to represent the tribe of Israel too, you see? So elect, they're actually talking about the electricity in man's body that accompanies his spirit on his travels. That's why Jesus represents a sun. because the sun gives off electricity for us. Duh. And then you got gold, which gold says God, and it got L in it, which represent life. God and the life, which is the life also represent the light. The light that's heating your body up right now to 100-degree temperature. That light. Go get your thermometer. Check it out. Something heating up is what causes light. So you're heated up right now, meaning you got light inside of you that the spirit travels in. Now, the reason why I'm trying to make you understand what Jesus really means through their symbolism and everything is so you can understand how all this plays into the money game they playing with you right now. Basically, both of your lights are under attack. Your three-dimensional light, which is your gold, which helps you channel electricity from the heavens, and your fifth dimensional light, which is your spirit. You see what I'm saying? Both of them are under attack by them. So the money game is the three-dimensional light, and the psychology is the fifth dimensional light, the spiritual light, because psyche means soul. Remember, Jesus came in the temple and turned the tables over and said, "Why did you turn my father's house into a den of thieves?" Well, this is why he said it right here. He's saying it because they made you trade in your light, just like a prostitute do. She go out there, turn her tricks, and trade her light for the money, right? Because they got you trading in your light, your life force energy, the same exact way a prostitute do. You are giving all your energy to the top 1% that is ruling over all of us. And since we're letting them take our energy like this, that's them taking our spirit, taking our God light, okay? Which is represented as a Jesus in the Bible. So whether Jesus is real or he isn't real, it doesn't really matter, because once you decode what it truly means, all that science is real. You see what I mean? So, the Bible is an art form, just like Egyptology is an art form. And you got other religions with different art forms that is pretty much based on the one science, because we all got the same science, but we choose to do what we want to do differently with the science. And that's how a lot of structures and a lot of governments and a lot of religions were made, is that people chose to do the art form that they wanted to live within and how they seen the truth. You see what I'm saying? And that's how it should still be. But now you got people that want you to live inside their structures, inside of their art forms, inside of their governments, and won't give you the right or the freedom to have your own estate and build your own empire with your pyramids on it or your White House on it. You see what I'm saying? So all this whole thing about religion and God and the people and all this stuff is when it comes to the Jesus being made up and other people's religions being pushed on other people, this was just a big power grab, okay? A power grab in and out. We're talking about electricity, we're talking about spirit, we're talking about estates, we're talking about all this stuff. We're talking about the gold, because gold is a star stone. That gold is represented as a stone that comes straight from the sun star. You see, this stuff is important and very valuable. So I hope by now you guys can see what the decoding of Jesus really is. And it all comes from Egypt. You see, that's what we need to understand. And a lot of people won't let this be, when the true meaning of God is just to know thyself. And Jesus was just a symbol for the light that all men have, which the Egyptians would call a sun ray.